Alright, let's see if we can get these cars next to each other. So of course we have the X3. Let's move this one first, and then we'll grab the 3 Series. Alright, that's one car down. Now we have to get the 3 Series. Doing this is honestly a lot easier now that I sold the 435. I only have 2 cars to move, so beats 3, sort of. But that's kind of what this video is about. Yeah, we'll get into that in a little bit, but for now, I just want the cars next to each other so I can talk to you guys. What is going on YouTube? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another video. If you guys are new here, my name is Eamon. These 2 are my cars. I actually used to have 3, but you know, now we're down to 2, which is a great thing still. Having 2 cars is a blessing. If you guys are new, I had a 2015 BMW 435. That car was pretty much fully modified. It was stage 2. It was slammed on some beautiful wheels. I absolutely loved it, but we did have to sell it for a reason. But that is alright because we're still left with this 2017 330i and this 2018 X3 M40. 2 amazing, beautiful cars. But I'll be honest with you guys, these cars just don't hit the same as that 435. So I don't want you guys to take this the wrong way. I absolutely love both of these cars, the 330, the X3 M40. I'm actually having a blast right now modifying the 330i, which has been the main focus of my videos lately, and it will continue to be for a little bit longer. Now, if you guys have been watching my videos, you'll know exactly why I sold the 435 and exactly why I have these 2 cars. But to kind of just fill you in really quickly, if you are new here, I kind of did everything that I wanted to do to that 435, so I knew it was sort of time to let it go, and it kind of worked out perfectly. I sold it to my brother, so the timing worked out. It was a little sooner than I would have hoped, but still it stayed within the family, and honestly you can't get better than that. I knew if I wanted to get something bigger and better, aka an M car, I had to sell the 435. I did order a new M car. I'm not going to tell you guys exactly which one it is or the spec of it. You can probably guess which M car it is. Honestly, it's not that hard to guess, but you're not going to be able to guess the spec, so I'll keep that as a surprise for you guys. But if you know how it goes when you order these cars, it could take a very, very long time. Now, I did order it about like 2 months ago, so it has been a little bit since I've ordered it, but they told me about 6 to 8 months for the car to come in. And to be honest with you guys, I'm thinking about changing something so that it might take even longer for it to come in. If you guys are familiar with this process, you'll know exactly what I'm thinking about doing. That's not even guaranteed, but regardless though, either way I do it, it's gonna take a long time for this new M car to come in. And although yes, again, I have been modding this 330i and my videos have been about this 330i, and yes, I still have a lot more to do, guys, I know, but I'm just wondering, is it really gonna last me 8 months? The X3 I've also been doing stuff too, but you guys know, you know, there's really not too much to do to an X3. It's not gonna be enough to make this channel last that long either. So what I'm trying to get at here, guys, is I ordered a new M car. It's gonna take a very long time for it to come in. I do have these 2 other cars, but I want something more exciting in the meantime. I don't know if I'll end up selling it before the new M car comes in, or if I'll end up keeping it and maybe selling one of these cars. I don't know, but I want something more exciting. So the first idea that it gave me was a Toyota Supra, a Mark V Toyota Supra. I absolutely love them. I think they're really cool cars. I think I would enjoy it, and I think I can really make it fast with that B58, because this X3 M40, I'm really not going crazy with the B58, so I think it'd be cool to explore the B58 in that way. So I looked around for some Supras, and I'll be honest with you guys, they're a little expensive. They're at least like 55, which is pretty wild to me because that's pretty much how much they went for when they were new. So I kind of wrote that one off, and I decided to look into my second option, which was an F80 M3. Now I know what you're thinking, you already ordered a new M car, why do you need an F80 M3? Like I said, guys, this would be more for the meantime until that new M car comes in, so I can really enjoy it and have like an exciting car on the channel. And for myself, because that new M car is probably going to take upwards of a year to come in, which is just way too long. So I started shopping around for some F80 M3s, and there's a lot of options out there. There's some really nice ones, and don't get me wrong, an F80 M3 is inherently a very nice car, but if I was going to get one, I wanted to make sure it was a beautiful spec. So I really started looking, and I really started digging for a really cool spec F80 M3 and I found it. This one was tanzanite blue with silverstone interior. It was fully loaded, extended leather dash and everything. It was absolutely beautiful, guys. It was not a competition and it was a little higher mileage, but the price was just right for me. So I called up the dealership and I told them I want it. I can't come today to get it, but I want it. I'll come in like 2 days. Of course, I haven't seen the car in person yet at this point. I did take a really close look at the pictures and I read all the reviews for the dealership. Now, I'm not gonna say what dealership this was because I don't really think it's necessarily the dealership's fault. Could be, could not be, I don't know. Regardless, it's not even the point of this story, but the dealership had some really, really good reviews. So I was like, okay, the dealership has good reviews. The car looks really good in pictures. Like I said, I put my deposit. I was super excited to go see it in person. And I was like 90% sure that I was gonna pick up this car. Again, I already knew that I fell in love with it. So it was really hard for me at that point to even just imagine not picking up the car. However, I finally got to the dealership. It was like a 2-hour drive. I dragged my wife and my daughter all the way there with me. We got to it, and I can just tell, guys, this M3, as beautiful as it was in terms of the spec, the previous owner or owners did not take good care of it. Now, I'm gonna use my 3 Series to kind of show you guys what I found on that F80 M3. So for starters, the front bumper was completely tattered and rock chips, scratches, all that type of stuff, and it was definitely repainted. Now, the Carfax did show that it wasn't a minor accident on the front bumper, so I wasn't too surprised about the front bumper being repainted and not matching too well. Tanzanite blue is a more specific color, but I kind of thought like I can easily fix that. Not only that, the hood was also riddled with rock chips and all that type of stuff, so that was already a bad sign. But because I love this car so much, I kept on justifying it. I thought like, okay, I'll redo the front bumper, totally fine. For the hood, I'll get a GTS hood, I'll paint that, I'll also paint the bumper at the same time, and I'll make it look really, really cool. But unfortunately, guys, it didn't end there. Like, the problems kept on going and they kept on getting worse and worse. So not only was the front bumper, the hood, all riddled and scratches and rock chips, but so was the roof. And now, as you guys know, an F80 M3 typically, not always, has a carbon fiber roof. So this one did have the carbon roof, and it literally had some of the biggest rock chips I've ever seen in any car. It was all along the roof over here. So one of the rock chips that I actually found was legit probably like that big. Like, it was like an inch long. It was crazy. So unfortunately, a carbon fiber roof is just not as easy to fix as like a hood or a front bumper. So this is where it started to go really downhill for me. And again, guys, I already fell in love with this F80 M3. And I was already thinking like what I'm gonna be doing to it. I was already planning like the video revealing it to you guys and all that type of stuff. So seeing this like genuinely like broke my heart. I was crushed, honestly. But again, it gets much, much worse. Like, this is still the beginning of it. So again, using the 3 Series to kind of illustrate what I found on the M3. If you guys are familiar with the S55, which I'm getting to know a little more now, they have an oil cooler which sits right below the front bumper, sort of like where the intercooler on these cars are, or at least on the 435 was. Now with those oil coolers, all that protects it is these plastic shrouds underneath the car. So those are pretty prone to getting punctured and leaking oil. So of course, guys, in the middle of the street, I got down on the floor and I checked what's going on underneath the car. And right away, the first thing that I found was the entire underneath of the bumper was scraped up, was banged up. And mind you, that front bumper was repainted. So it must have been newer and consistent. But not only that, all the plastic shrouds underneath the car were completely demolished. If they weren't demolished, they were completely gone and ripped off. So right away, I thought this oil cooler is probably punctured and it's probably leaking oil of some sort. So I pulled the plastic shrouds back so I can take a better look at the oil cooler. Keep in mind, guys, I'm still on the floor of the car. Those F80 M3s are very low, so I didn't really have that much space to look. But thankfully, I was able to see enough. There was literally a dent, I don't know, maybe like an 1.5 inches deep in the oil cooler. Thankfully, it was not leaking oil. It was clearly very badly beaten. So at this point, guys, I realized this car was clearly not taken care of. It had a whole bunch of rock chips. The paint was fading. The interior was starting to fall apart. And I know what you're thinking, because the guys at the dealership annoyingly kept on telling me the same thing. They were saying, it's a high mileage car. It's a used car. Of course it's gonna have things like this. Well, that M3 had 68,000 miles, which again, guys, I know is not low, but my 435 had the same mileage when I sold it. And that 435 was in 100 times better shape than that F80 M3 was. So yes, a used car is more prone to things like that, rock chips, paint fading, But if it was taken care of by the right person, a used car can still be a good car. Just because you're buying a used car does not mean it has to be bad. It just depends on which one you buy. But anyways, even with all that, I was still kind of willing to accept the car because it still was a really good price for what you're getting in terms of the rare spec. But after I saw all the damage underneath the car, I told the guy, no, I don't want it. I want my deposit back. I don't want the car. Unfortunately, as much as I love the car and as hard as it was for me to say no to the car, I knew that if I bought it, I would highly regret it. That hit underneath was a clear indication that this person really didn't take care of the car and was probably in a much worse accident than the Carfax was showing or that the dealership was telling me. But at that point, guys, the salesman was still insisting that I take the car, but I kept on telling him no. So what he did was he told me he would take it to the mechanic in their dealership and they would raise up the car for me and they would see if they can fix it for me. So that's exactly what we did. We went to the shop in the dealership and we put the F80 M3 on a lift and I was able to see completely underneath the car. Now I'm very grateful for the salesman even offering that option. I was already convinced that I'm not going to take the car, but once we lifted it, guys, we were able to see everything underneath. Not only was the oil cooler dented and all the plastic shrouds destroyed, but there was like an aluminum under tray on the center underbelly of the M3, and even that was horribly dented in and smashed in. So at this point, there was no going back. I was definitely not taking the car. The car was definitely in a much worse accident that they're making it out to be. So again, guys, as hard as it was for me to do, I had to say no to the car. I know stuff like that can be fixed and it's not the biggest of deals, but the fact that the car clearly was not taken care of was really just a huge turnoff for me. The car, again, was a very nice price, and I'm sure someone's gonna walk in there and they're gonna buy it right away. But to those people, honestly, guys, the lesson that I've learned is, one, don't fall in love with a car before you buy it because it can lead you to make some really bad decisions. Like, honestly, I think if I bought that car, I'd probably have a whole bunch of issues with it, a whole bunch of problems down the line. And two, really make sure you understand the car that you're gonna buy before you go to see it. So I never owned an S55 or an F80 M3, and just a quick Google search told me exactly what I need to look for when buying one used. So before buying any used car, guys, just really make sure you go into it knowing exactly what you're looking for. Now, what does this mean for the future of my channel in terms of an F80 M3? Am I gonna get another one? I don't know. I mean, I would like to, but like I said, guys, I really want a beautiful spec, something that's not very common. I'll still keep an eye out. If anybody has one for sale, definitely let me know. But in the meantime, we're still gonna enjoy the 330i, the X3 M40. We're gonna have fun with these cars. I still have a whole bunch of mods for both of these. So a lot of fun and exciting stuff still coming to the channel, and we do still have that new M car coming as well, guys. If I can find an F80 M3 in the meantime, I definitely would. And who knows, maybe I'll end up keeping the F80 M3 and then selling the 330i when the new M car comes in. So that's also an option. But yeah, with that said, guys, that pretty much wraps up this video. So make sure you drop it a like, hit that subscribe button, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.